Okay, I want to kind of give you a little tour of how we are setting up, doing our routing for the Everglades Challenge. We're using paper charts, but we're also using Google Earth. And one of the things that we've done with Google Earth is we've added some overlays that come from NOAA, and these are the NOAA RNCs, or raster navigational charts. These are free, and you can add them to overlay on top of Google Earth, and they're very, very useful. So as you can see right here, this is Tampa Bay, lower Tampa Bay. Here's the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and here is Fort DeSoto, Mullet Key. This is the starting beach for the Everglades Challenge. Now, one of the cool things about using these NOAA charts is that I can fade these charts in and out like this, so we can see the satellite imagery underneath. Well, this is going to be useful for doing things like, let's say, we need to mark a beach that we can pull up onto, or a hurricane hole, or there's some hazard that we just want to really take a look at, or that we want to mark on the chart that isn't normally marked on the chart. We can use a satellite imagery to see stuff that's out here. You can see I put that up here, and it doesn't show that stuff that's sitting out there. So this is going to be really useful for us. And you can see this is just a standard navigational chart. So you can also see where I've put some waypoints in here. So this is the start beach. The start beach I've labeled 1.0.0 and then the word start. And then down here are some more waypoints, and I've got 1.1.0. This is the entrance to the Intercoastal Waterway. I've got 1.2.0. This is a southwest channel out into the Gulf of Mexico. And this is 1.3.0, and this is Passage Key Inlet, which is another channel that goes out into the Gulf. So we might use this way, or we might use this way, or we might use this way. So what we've done is we've created this numbering scheme. So the first number, number 1, is the segment number, and so that's the segment would be from the start to checkpoint 1 is segment 1. Checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2 would be segment 2. Checkpoint 2 to checkpoint 3 would be segment 3, etc. The second digit, this would 1.1 would mean that's course. So that's the course within the segment. So this would be segment 1, course 1. This would be segment 1, course 2. This would be segment 1, course 3. And these are just alternate courses. And then as we move down the course here, we start adding numbers. So this would be 1.2.1. So this is segment 1, course 2, checkpoint 1, or not checkpoint 1, but waypoint 1. And then we go on down the course, and you can see they start to move up. So here's the Longboat Pass waypoint. That's 1.1.1 because we're in the Intercoastal, which is course 1. And here's 1.2.2, so this is the second waypoint in the Gulf. And you can see there's a long ways between all of these waypoints. And the idea here is if we're in the Intercoastal, we're going to be mainly following channel markers. If we're in the Gulf, pretty much if you just stay offshore here, you'll be okay, stay out of the breakers. So we don't need waypoints all along here. Well, basically we can, from this waypoint, I can set my handheld GPS to navigate to this waypoint, and then we just tack and whatever as we need to out here. In here we're going to have to follow the channel markers. So I've added waypoints at passes, and these would be places. So for example, as we're coming down the Intercoastal, if we say, wow, the weather is really pretty good, we can probably go out in the Gulf and make better time, we could duck through this pass here and come out. So we put a waypoint there. And obviously the reverse is true. If we're out in the Gulf and the weather is really nasty, and we say we really need to get into the Intercoastal, we could duck in through the pass. So I've done this at every one of the passes. You can see as we go down here, so down through Sarasota Bay, there's New Pass, and there's Big Sarasota Pass, continuing to go south. And so far I've put in these major waypoints down to checkpoint 1. So there's Venice, and we are approaching checkpoint 1 now Minnesota Key. So this is Lemon Bay. Right here we've got Stump Pass, and there is checkpoint 1, and checkpoint 1 is labeled as 2.0.0 because we start segment 2. Now I just want to show you another thing here. So this is Stump Pass, and Stump Pass is kind of notorious. It's a somewhat dangerous pass in that this is always changing. It's pretty shallow, and there are breakers right here, and depending on the prevailing wind it can get pretty nasty in Stump Pass. So we'll have to make a decision as to whether or not we want to go into Stump Pass. But one of the neat things about using these RNCs is I can then fade this out, and I can see what that pass looks like. You noticed when I looking at the chart, there's no channel markers here, and that's because it's always changing. So you can look at this and you can kind of get an idea at least of what it looks like. Last year I scoped this out by boat, and so there was a channel right here, and you can kind of see that in the satellite view, and then navigating up around this island. So as you make your way down to checkpoint 1. So we think that's going to be very useful to us, and as we go along we'll add other features like hurricane holes, anchorages, stuff like that as we notate them either on the chart or in Google Earth in the satellite images. Then we take all of these waypoints, we transfer them to the paper map, and we also download them to our handheld GPSs that we'll carry in the boat. So hopefully this was interesting to you, and stay tuned, there'll be more information.